pain and shock of the death of Officer Ablanedo. And the blow of being sentenced repeatedly to death, being judged by members of the community to be unworthy even of life. Have morally humbled me in a way. And caused me to look within myself and try and submit myself to a serious self-examination.
I hope this film doesn't make him some kind of heroic figure, because he's not. And he deserves terrible punishment for the terrible thing that he did.
I have the sense that he carries a terrible burden, and I don't think burden and self-pity are identical or even similar. A burden is something else, and I think he carries a burden. The concept which we talk about but which we don't practice is the belief in redemption. And human beings can change, and human beings can do a lot of self-examination and at least hold that out as a possibility. So I'm not for not punishing people, but I'm also not for taking human life.
Of course, I think David is redeemable, and I think in many ways he has been on the course of redemption. He's reflected his own agony and deep sorrow to me over what happened. He has worked to care about and identify with other people around him and their circumstances. He has worked to create a better environment, a more just environment, a more rehabilitative environment.
You can't lock a man in a room 23 hours a day for 20 years, and he's not faced every moment of his life.
Because I know that he's asked for forgiveness. I think he is very remorseful.
He is definitely on the course of redemption, and that is a remarkably difficult thing to accomplish in a situation that would make most people feel very bitter and angry and just sort of stay in that place.
David has had a long time to think about his actions, and as far as I know, he has been a prisoner without a blot of any kind on his record as a prisoner. He's had all these years to consider what transpired and the regret for it. And I would say, I think it's a terrible, aside from the emotional part of it, it is such a terrible waste to lose his life.
Another reason that David shouldn't be executed, in my opinion, is because after serving all these years on death row, he's already received punishment that's as bad as it can possibly get.
30 years is enough. I mean, my Lord. Oh my gosh. That's a long time. That's a long time.
He's gotten life. He's already served life. And so now he's going to get life and death. Which, where is it written that he's supposed to get life and death? That doesn't seem fair to me.
I think that the death penalty in Texas is more about vengeance than it is about justice. I think the whole system is grossly unjust.
Our system is designed for the Board of Pardons and Paroles to separate out and provide clemency for those where it is clear that some error has been made along the line, and they should not be taken away from us. And he's one of those.
The act of violence that he committed is obviously, clearly not reflective of his whole life. It's obviously an aberration compared with his whole life.
If the person has a record and is no threat, you know, that is always the thing that comes up. Will they be a threat to society? There is nothing that indicates that David will be a threat to society.
7 guards testified on his behalf. That doesn't happen. Even in that environment where so many people are torn apart, he brought people together.
We know that if you look at David's life, you see goodness that has been manifested time and time again. You see goodness that can circulate, that can offer so much still to the world. Why take him? Why take him away?
If he were not to be executed, and if eventually he were even to be released into the free world, there's no doubt in my mind that David would be a productive member of society.
I kind of think that really what they're doing is they're sentencing the family. That's who they're hurting. That's who really gets the brunt of it, is the families. It's like I got the death penalty.
Let this stop. Let it stop. And don't kill him. Please don't kill my brother.
David has run out of appeals, and there is nothing left, legally, to prevent the state of Texas from executing him. He had no history of violence before this crime occurred, and has had none since. He is not a threat to society, which makes him ineligible for the death penalty, even in Texas. Regardless of the knowledge of his probable death by lethal injection, David has made a constant effort to atone for the murder of Officer Albaneda. He has spent 31 years under constant threat of death, much of it in solitary confinement.